Hi, it's William here again at Architect Knowhow, and today we're going to help you with one of the most crucial aspects of your architectural journey, and that is how to select the right project for your Part 3 case study submission, and what are the core ingredients you should be thinking about for getting this right. Welcome back to Architect Knowhow Channel. I'm William here at Architect Knowhow, and in this episode I'll be discussing some features and characteristics required by the Architects Registration Board, that's the ARB, and the Royal Institute of British Architects, also known as the RIBA, to help you choose an appropriate case study project. In the first instance, I want to highlight the importance of the case study. A well-selected case study project is crucial for demonstrating your competence in architectural practice. That's the purpose of it. It's an opportunity for you to demonstrate your problem-solving skills, your decision-making and application of professional knowledge as an architect in practice. So the case study project is a critical component of demonstrating a graduate's competence in architectural practice. It's an opportunity for you to emphasize your abilities to the external examiners appointed by the ARB and the RIBA. So a well-selected case study project, therefore, can demonstrate a range of skills and experiences, including design, management, project coordination, and technical issues. The importance of the case study, therefore, lies in its ability to provide a comprehensive understanding of the challenges and opportunities that arise in the real world of architectural practice. Now, the case study project provides the opportunity for you to demonstrate your ability as the architect or the lead design consultant, if that's your function on your particular project, to navigate complex design and construction issues and to develop solutions that are responsive to project events that arise, the client's needs, the budget and time schedule and the like. It could be anything. Just to place some clarity on this aspect of your case study, I want to highlight a number of points in this regard. So for satisfying the ARB and RIBA requirements, the case study project should be a real-life project in which you played a significant role, ideally as a project architect or job runner. However, it is understood as a new graduate you may not be at a level of practice experience for your employer to entrust you totally and absolutely with a significant project in the office, and one which would be suitable for your case study. And that's not unreasonable, really. Taking responsibility for a project, your employer has a big responsibilities, and big responsibility to the office, to the practice, and indeed to the client in question. So to satisfy your case study requirements, you would need to be at least part of an architectural team charged with delivering a project, which you contributed to in a meaningful way. Hopefully you were involved in a project where you were delegated tasks which you can use to show your abilities and development as an architect in practice. Of course, if you happen to be a Part 2 graduate with more than the minimum 2 years practical experience, you might already be running projects as a project architect, in which case you are in a good place, naturally, because you've got that experience and that know-how and behind you. Now, I'll be referring to this again in a few months, but just for now, I just want to move on a little bit because I've got something in my head I want to say. But as a member of the architectural team with, say, the required 2 years experience that I referred to earlier, you should also be able to take note of how the project was managed and set out your comments, observations and opinions in relation to events that occurred on that project. You can refer to them as critical events or critical incidents, which is also a requirement for you to include in your case study submission. Now let me take a minute here to tell you something. I'm aware from coaching graduates with their case studies that identifying critical events and critical incidents appears to be a bit of a stumbling block, a bit of a bogey, I would say. Now, I've already created an episode which deals with specifically with critical incidents topic. I have dealt with that. So I will not focus on that topic in this episode, and I'm sure you will find this episode helpful, as it helps to demystify the confusion and uncertainty that may exist. I will leave a link for you in the description below, so have a watch of that after you've finished watching this episode, because you'll find there's continuity with that. So, okay, back to the topic at hand and your level of practical experience. Now, as I mentioned previously, you may have more than 2 years practice and experience. And you are already running architectural projects since you completed your Part 2, which might have been a number of years ago. But now, maybe after a number of years, you have decided you want to complete your Part 3, and that can be for any number of different reasons. Maybe it's because you're not entitled to be called an architect until you've successfully completed your Part 3 professional practice exam and registered with the RIBA as a fully qualified architect. Or maybe it's because it is necessary for you to be fully qualified and registered with the ARB to progress with your career in a particular office. That was my situation, I can tell you. I kept putting it off, and my Part 2 status allowed me to rise to associate level, but that was it, no further. So I needed to complete my Part 3 in order to take up a partner position in a large London practice, and I value that opportunity. So naturally I cut my finger out and got on with it. It was incentive enough for me at the time. I would expect at this stage in your architectural career, where you are contemplating or in the process of completing your Part 3 professional practice exam, you are alert to the RIBA work stages and what that represents. I mean, you should be at least at that level. The number of RIBA work stages that must be covered for your Part 3 case study can vary depending on the individual case study in question and the requirements of the Part 3 course provider that you're attending and the examination board, of course. However, typically a Part 3 case study should cover at least two or more RIBA work stages, and as this will demonstrate a comprehensive understanding of the architectural processes and your ability to manage a project from start to finish. So it's worth noting that the RIBA work stages are not prescriptive, and some projects may skip or combine certain stages depending on their specific requirements. And the key is to demonstrate a clear understanding of the architectural process and how it relates to your selected project in particular, rather than simply trying to cover as many RIBA work stages as possible. Now, it's really the depth of detail is more significant, and how you manage that process. When selecting a case study project, there are some key features and characteristics that will apply. Consider the following project topics and how your selected case study may have encountered them, or some of them. So I want to go through some of the typical ingredients your project should be able to include. So that sort of gives you a general overview of what your projects may have encountered, and then you use that as a vehicle to start structuring your case study content. So the first one I want to focus on then is complexity. So you need to choose a project that presents a range of challenges and complexities, which will enable you to demonstrate your problem solving and decision making abilities in relation to actions, activities and events that occurred. Next thing would be the scale of the project. So you need to select a project of appropriate scale, such as maybe a small to medium-sized building, where your involvement and responsibilities are clear. I would suggest a typical rear extension to a terraced house will not offer the opportunity for you to engage in the issues necessary for your Part 3 case study purposes. Something needs to be something more substantial than that, and I'm sure you already appreciate that, of course. And then there's the variety issue. I would ask you to maybe opt for a project with diverse stakeholders such as clients, consultants, contractors and statutory bodies. Of course, you're going to encounter that, to show your ability in how you collaborate and coordinate with people. This type of project usually offers opportunities for you to explain your direct involvement in certain project issues and to highlight your management style and, of course, your personality when it comes to interacting and collaborating with others. Ensure that the project involves dealing with local planning authorities, building control, or other regulatory bodies, highlighting your understanding of the relevant regulations that apply and what your involvement entailed when coordinating or collaborating with these disciplines. So you need to choose a project that demonstrates your awareness and application of sustainable design principles and strategies to reduce environmental impact. There is always a great deal to refer to here, and being able to explain your involvement in delivering a design solution which results in an excellent rating is a treasured accomplishment for any project. But a design solution providing a good rating is also commendable. I've delivered more of those, I would say, than the excellent ratings. So maybe your client decided not to be concerned with achieving a BREEAM or a LEED rating due to cost implications. And I've had that as well. They've taken it so far and then they've just abandoned the whole thing because it was cumbersome, time consuming, and not an easy process, I should say. So explaining situations like this in your case study is always valid and always very well worthwhile being able to discuss that too in your oral exam. Selecting a project where you've been involved in contract administration, site visits and liaising with the contractor is always a great thing to be able to write about. This helps you demonstrate your understanding of contractual and financial matters. This may be demonstrated by your interaction with the contractors or members of the contracting team and the project activities which had your direct input. Where your activities and contributions are reflected in documentation, of course, such as some meeting minutes or notes or emails and the like, is always encouraged for you to include it in your case study, because that in fact highlights and demonstrates you being in the mix, and that you weren't just always on the periphery, just looking at what's going on and writing a commentary about what your project was about. It demonstrates that you were involved in it. So I would always recommend that to the students that we're coaching for their case study. Now, innovation and technical expertise are really crucial components of architectural practice. You know, architects must stay abreast of new technologies, materials and construction techniques to deliver cutting-edge designs, and that meets the demand of modern clients. I mean, we all have to keep up, really. So therefore, when selecting a case study project, it is important to opt for a project that displays your involvement or contribution in applying proficiency to new technologies, new materials, or a novel way of using existing materials, and construction techniques. And you can always be inventive. There's plenty of room for that, and I always love to see that, actually. So pick out a particular instance where this might have applied to you and your case study project. The importance of featuring innovation and technical expertise in your case study project, lies in its ability to demonstrate your ability to navigate complex technical issues and deliver designs that are innovative, sustainable, and of course efficient. by highlighting your proficiency in applying new technology, materials and construction techniques. As a graduate, you can demonstrate your ability to stay ahead of the curve. In this fast evolving field of architecture, it does move quite fast sometimes. By the way, my colleague Mario has just asked me to mention that if you like the information in this episode, he really appreciates your like, and many thanks for that. That's much appreciated. So I want to move on to this aspect of your competence, and to demonstrate your competence in various aspects of architectural practice as a graduate. You will need to demonstrate a range of skills and experiences in design, management, coordination, collaboration, and technical issues, of course. Here are some ways that you can demonstrate competence in each of the following areas. So I'm just going to go through some sort of typical areas, and actually the first one I'm going to focus on, I'm going to mention, not necessarily focus on, but mention is design. So your case study will set out a range of skills including innovativeness, creativity, problem solving, and I suppose attention to detail as well. So demonstrate an understanding of design principles such as the sustainability, accessibility, etc. Your understanding of the site, of course, and what that means architecturally by the way of context and characteristics and aesthetics in your work is also a very valid inclusion. So explain how you understand the context of the site and your appreciation of the site characteristics, and what that meant when it came to considering an architectural design solution for the site in question. This is all valid stuff really, and demonstrates to the case study examiners that your knowledge of architectural practice is well-rounded. You're basing it on something solid. So give some thought as to how site constraints were managed by you or with your architect's design team, whatever team you were working with. You can also mention and refer to any site attributes, of course, that exists on the site, and how you or your design team capitalized on them for the benefit of the project. So not every site has a series of constraints. There are other things too that could be viewed as attributes that can offer the design solution some extra capital in terms of the final outcome. So if I can for a moment here just mention that Architect Knowhow will be publishing a new book on attributes and constraints. This is a valuable reference to have beside you when evaluating a site for your client. Now I'll leave a link in the description below which will tell you more about this book and when it will be published, which should be, I think it's in the next 3 months or so. So it's just to give you a heads up. But if you want information on that, go to that link in the description, and we can send you more information about that when it comes, or even if you want it now, we'll happily send it on to you. Okay, so moving on then, it's always useful to show evidence, of your collaboration with clients, stakeholders, and other members of the design team, showing your contribution to successful design outcomes. And recognizing site constraints and attributes, that's always a big bonus in my view. So producing an architectural design solution for the site does not only involve the architect, of course. There are other players like the structural engineer, building services engineer, and possibly other specialist design consultants, depending on the nature of the complexity of your selected case study project. Think about how that process was employed in your project and provide an example of your personal involvement in the same. You should at least be able to explain the activities of your design team in this regard so as to demonstrate your understanding of this process and how to follow good practice and procedures. Now the next topic I want to refer to is sort of management. So depending on what your level of competency and experience is in relation to your case study project, provides examples of your project management skills. This might relate to an aspect associated with planning and your interactions with the local planning authority, decisions related to project budgeting due to a design change, and we referred to that earlier, possibly following a critical event or instance, or it might be an issue relating to rescheduling the project timetable because of something unforeseen that occurred. Now, in the context of the above scenario, I would ask you to demonstrate your ability to communicate effectively with your clients, contractors, and other stakeholders throughout the design and construction process. If you're not personally leading the design process as a project architect, explain what actions the project architect on your project adopted so as to manage the events referred to above. Now, you can show evidence of leadership and teamwork, including your ability to delegate tasks, provide feedback, and resolve conflicts. Sometimes they come about. Set out what you did, how you did it, and why you did it. Provide examples of your knowledge of legal and regulatory requirements, such as the current Planning Act and any design guides of the local planning authority that apply to your project. Explain these and how they influenced your project in any particular way, and show how these were satisfied in the design solution for the project. Now, you don't have to give chapter and verse and everything. You need to just select out one or two instances to highlight that which I just referred to. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's recognizing, it's you showing that you recognize certain significant events or moments of time or situations and what you did to deal with it. That's what it is. Of course, as with managing the planning process, adopt the same approach for building control requirements and any other statutory approvals. I would expect that within all that takes place in managing this part of the design process, there are bound to be instances which you can refer to, instances which you are able to refer to, and at the same time highlight what part you may have played in achieving the successful outcome. So highlight actions that you or your design team took for specific reasons. Now, I would ask you to bear in mind that the final design solution, of course, does not necessarily mean the design of the actual building. I know some graduates and young architects have a total focus on the building design as being the project, which is not really the case. The final design solution embraces the overall project development as a total entity, of which the building and its design is an important part, but not the be and end all of everything connected with the development project. When you get deeper into practice, you will discover by having to manage the design process, there are other factors which come into the mix for project development. You also need to demonstrate your ability to coordinate with other members of the design team, such as engineers, consultants, contractors, to ensure the project meets all requirements. So again, show evidence of your ability to manage and resolve conflicts that may arise during the design and the construction process. This does not have to be a big, serious, contentious issue. It might be an event that occurred during the project, maybe within the design team or perhaps between the design team and the contractor. Again, it's not a big hoo-ha, hullabaloo situation. It's just an event that you took note of and how you dealt with it. Okay, just keep it simple. Provide examples of your understanding of construction methods and materials, as well as the ability to coordinate these elements into the actual design process. Examine how you, as a member of the architect's design team, achieve this. Explain it. Show evidence of your ability to integrate sustainable design principles in the project. I referred to sustainable design earlier in this episode, so if you have missed that, go back and watch it again. Again, Mario has just whispered in my ear again for your like. And Mario is our like Guru, I may have mentioned that in other videos. He monitors all the algorithms and sees how they work. So your like is very much appreciated. So thanks again for that. It is, of course, always useful to demonstrate an understanding of technical issues related to architecture, such as structural systems, building envelope systems, and mechanical, electrical systems, to mention just a few. I know there's many more systems, in designing a building and constructing a building than those elements. But for your case study submission, purposes rather, provide examples of your ability to apply this knowledge to your design process for your case study project, ensuring that the building is safe, of course, it's functional, and of course energy efficient. And there might be other things you'd like to highlight. Please do highlight it, make a feature of it. If it's important to you and if it's significant to the project, you should discuss it. Show evidence of your ability to work with consultants such as the structural engineers and the MEP engineers to ensure the project meets technical requirements. Now, you can cite one or two specific instances where your collaboration and coordination with a specific design consultant contribute to the project design process in a meaningful way. It does not have to be, as I said before, a monumental issue. Just a simple account of what was involved will suffice, and your part that you played in it. 3. Demonstrate an understanding of the latest technologies and the software used in the design and the construction industry. Explain the nature and scope of CAD technology, for instance, that was employed by you or your architect's team and the other design team members. That's the overall project design team members. Explain the processes that was adopted by the whole of the design team and how that benefited the project design process in the whole, in the round. Refer to any mishaps that occurred and how they were dealt with, either by you as at a personal level or by your architect's team or the whole project team for that matter. To ensure a successful case study submission, keep the following in mind. Choose a project where you can clearly demonstrate your role and responsibilities and what part you played within the architect's design team. Okay? Ensure the project adheres to the ARB and the RIBA guidelines, of course, and address the key criteria mentioned earlier. Now, provide a comprehensive, well-structured narrative in your case study with clear illustrations and supporting documents, as I referred to earlier. I may have mentioned, wherever your name is mentioned, that's always good. That's quality stuff, demonstrating you played an active role in that. And I would say highlight and include documents, as I said, which shows your involvement in particular aspects of the work. That is where your name is mentioned. So I leave a link in the description below for you to access a brief overview of the information within this episode, and it will act as an aide-memoir and help you collect your thoughts on what needs to be considered, I suppose. So reflect on the events, situations that occurred, the actions that were taken, what else, and the outcomes from those actions, I suppose, and the lessons you learned, which is equally important. Be prepared to offer your own comments and observations. That goes without saying. And of course, your opinions surrounding events that occurred and actions that were taken by the design team. Now, you do not have to agree with everything that was actioned and decided upon or decisions that were taken, but do make sure you support your personal views and opinions with sound reasoning. That's important because, you could be what am I trying to say? You could be tested on that in your oral exam, which is important. So you need to have a good sort of handle on what you mean and what your understanding is and why you have certain opinions. Explain how, by your involvement in the project, the overall experience has contributed to your I would say personal development. That's it. How you actually grew professionally, and your knowledge base, how it all sort of came together. Really, how it sort of prepares you to practice architecture in your own right. Now, when it comes to reflecting on your project and the events that took place and your involvement, we have other episodes on this subject as well also. So have a look at these episodes. I know one is in critical events and the other one is on reflections, which I suppose I'm referring to here, reflecting on your projects. Because this particular episode is just trying to help you identify the ingredients for selecting a project. That's the thrust of this particular episode. So I will leave a link below so you can access that immediately after this video. Okay, so with these insights in mind, you'll be well on your way to selecting an appropriate case study project for your part 3. So remember, this is your chance to highlight your professional competence. So choose sensibly and put your best foot forward, of course. Mario's back and he's just whispered in my ear again for your like. Mario, as I said, is our like guru who monitors all the algorithms, and he makes sense of all the numbers and the lines that go up and the lines that go down. So thanks again for helping him out with that task. I really appreciate that. Now, I know, of course, your selected project will not have everything I've referred to in this episode. Indeed, this is not necessary for your case study. What I've provided you here with is a reference for considering a suitable case study project and how to approach it, how to get started, that is, and that is sometimes an issue for some graduates. There is sometimes a mental blocking getting down to creating a simple structure around which you can build in the events and activities, the happenings and the outcomes of a project that you are connected with. So, but the main thing is, don't overthink it when it comes to identifying a live project that will be suitable for your case study. Keep it simple. Use the guides provided in the aid memoir provided that I'm going to leave for you. So, thank you for joining us here today. Really appreciate that. And I'll see you in our next episode on the Architect Knowhow Channel. Bye.